What is up everyone, it's TK and today I'm going to show you other equipment running with the RC and how they can be effective in your attacks depending on your strategy. So let's dive in and see what to compare and actually put in with the Electro boots. Alright, here we are, and the first strategy I want to showcase is basically a strategy where you're sending your RC into the action. Okay, so something like you want to get the RC in the core, get those huge values with those invisibility spells. There's a few already out there, and I'll already do one also very soon of my own, so don't worry, I'm gonna bring you that video. But this is basically how you want to use the electro boots with that haste vial, because you can get the maximum amount of value out of it. So for example, on this attack, let's think about sending RC onto one of those multi-archer towers that are on the top side. If you have that, haste vial with the electro boots, once you're in the core, you're going to be able to get a lot more value. So for example, let's just take these sides out and just send the RC down the middle. Now what you have is, of course, that fox. So you need to kind of know the timings, right? That's why on my strategy that is kind of close to Carbon Fin strategy, you don't have to count these times. You can then just go with regular invisibilities right after each other. But once you have this timer, once the invisibility goes off, you actually do have some time to, let the fox do this thing and then let the RC go for it. Now look at my RC. Once she's in the core, this is where I'm going to pop the ability and she can get huge value depending if the fox is still alive, taking her or not. And look at that funnel. We could have gotten more values. Of course, this is just examples, and with those 5 invisibilities, that is what we were supposed to get, for example. And in general, what I would recommend is exactly the haste vial. Now you can control it, pop it a bit earlier. I'm not the best player to do this, I'm not used to it, but you can pop it earlier, get those invisibilities afterwards, and get most value out of your royal champion. But let's move on to more common strategies. Now, for example, on this base right here, what you have to do with those super dragon, or for example hydra attacks, I could go around it, but in general, dragon attacks, I know a lot of you might already be running that minion prince, but I know some of you aren't. Some of you are upgrading it, so you're running the RC. Now this is what I would recommend you, the rocket spear. You might be saying, well, the rocket spear you shoot from the further away, right? But this equipment with the electro boots is for close up. Now, one thing you need to make sure of is the rocket spear is actually quite good to take down those last defenses on the field. So it's always the back end. Once you do that, RC always steps up. This means she will always get into damage or into Tesla farms, skelly traps, and all that kind of stuff. Plus, don't forget your equipment, the electro boots, will actually heal up the RC in time. She doesn't have to hit the buildings like the king, Vamstash, and she just keeps getting healed up. So it's like having healers with your RC, having immunity to all the skellies, and also still be able to shoot those long range fires. So for example, let's just say this end is your back end of the base, something like you're finishing off with the dragons. You can see easily if there was some air defense. Now this base of course is built a bit better, the air defenses are a bit deeper, it's basically anti-dragon, but if there are air defenses on the outside, easily she can get it for you. And of course you can keep her alive with those free spells of yourself that you have nicely for the back end, and basically just get the value that she is supposed to get. Now you do have other heroes on the field, of course, the warden, king and queen, your queen ability, making sure the buildings are a bit lower HP, all that type of stuff will also be handy for you. Keep the RC alive with those spells. You can even use rage spells so she can get through the buildings faster. Now some people have been switching around and putting that phoenix on the RC if you are not putting the phoenix on your warden, because usually if you're running the minion prince, people been putting the phoenix on the minion prince and it's actually quite useful. But if you're upgrading it, you can still run the owl with the warden and run that, for example, the phoenix on the royal champion. It's just going to give you some extra values, and of course with the super dragons you can easily get the best out of that base. Now next up, for the smash armies, like super bowlers, like throwers, titans, super witches, any smash strategy that you're currently using with either the fireball or just regular warden walk, I would suggest you the hawk puppet with that electro boots. You might be saying why? Well, if you haven't been able to use that rocket sphere, dropping the RC from further away, not really connecting it with your army, you usually used to do that when the RC had regular abilities, and also the Hawk Puppet and the Haze Vial combination was meta. But after that rocket sphere became the meta, usually people forget about dropping the RC to help the army. But in the smash attacks, that's what you usually do. So you can easily go with this method and try to get the best value out of the Hogs. Because notice, the Hogs aren't going to be going too much forward because, for example, the RC doesn't have that rocket sphere to stay behind, or the RC is not going to go too much forward itself because it doesn't have that haste valve to get ahead of the Hogs. They are exactly the same speed to go through the base, and you are going to be able to kill those skellies nicely. You're going to be able to actually provide tanking for the RC itself with those Hogs, and you're not going to lose as much HP as you think because this equipment gives you self healing per second. Once you have it maxed, it will give you, of course, 60, and that's quite a lot. It's basically like 2 healers behind your RC. Just keep healing her without stop until she's dead. So you can already see how these two combination could be working out for you, dropping it on the flank of your troops, helping them, providing them tanking, providing them some support with DRC, and hopefully you got all the strategies that was out there. Like the spam attacks is the same as the smash, because that's how usually people drop DRC, unless of course you're dropping your RC to go again deep in the base, just like at the beginning I told you in those, of course, kind of like surgical approaches, you know what I'm saying? But with the root rider spam, I've seen some people dropping the RC with that warden to go in with their troops. That's when again I would suggest you the haze file, because with the electro boots, nothing is going to be able to kill you, of course, with, you know, coming the CC out, and of course those well skellies, and you're gonna be keep healing up, and you do have the haste file in case you need to pop it and get the value. Because don't forget, we used to have the Hawk Puppet haste file combination for the RC back in Town Hall 16 Root Rider era. That's how, after the, you know, overgrowth was done, you used to pop it, rage the RC up, and get the value. This is exactly gonna be the same. You're just not gonna have the hogs, but because she's in the core, she's gonna help you out a lot at killing the CCs, killing the skellies, providing tanking, and of course all that good stuff. And hopefully you guys like this video. Make sure you kind of ask any questions you have on the comment down below. I'll be able to answer every single one of you, and hopefully again you enjoyed it. Leave a like. See you soon. Take care and peace.